Welcome, TT's Clubhouse. Today we got a pretty special guest today. You guys know him as Kai Murphy, and he's one of my favorites. So please join me and welcome Kai Murphy to the show.
TT, what's up, man?
What up, Doc? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. You're the man.
Where do I even start? Where do I even start right now?
I mean, wherever you want to start. Like we said, it's gonna be a natural conversation. It'll flow good, and I'm excited to be here. So
I remember the first time we met.
I do too, but I want to hear your interpretation.
Okay, so you came with a couple other dudes, and there was like a craziness going about us. I know, like for me, I had a lot of things going on in my life, and getting to the stadium like after hours, and just a ton of energy. And then we hug, we embrace, and we have like a moment of zen. Remember that?
I do. I remember being in the airport, and someone sent us your number. You started like a group message. It was me, Marcy, Marty, and Polly. And you you just were spamming text in the group message and emojis. And we were like, who's this guy? And after the Uber, we got the and we got there, and
shoot. The audio. Kai, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Kai? Can you hear me? His AirPods died, I think.
Yo. Yeah, it's his AirPods, man. He started fizzling out. That audio started going away, and then it just went out. Kai, can you hear us at least? You give us a nod. Yeah, you can tell it's like losing power if you didn't have a charge on the AirPods or whatever.
Can you just disconnect from the computer or just use the computer audio?
Yeah, he's gonna have to, unless it depends on what he's on, whether he's on his laptop.
Oh, he's on mute. He's on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I think maybe the AirPods died. My bad.
Are we live? We live, Kai.
That's perfect, because that's just a little bit of adversity. I have to get through it. So perfect.
Let's just start with failures. How about that? Let's talk about some of our fails.
Yeah, I mean, I fail every single day. I just failed to be prepared for this interview by not charging my AirPods enough. So yeah, that's something you got to deal with every day for sure.
I'm just playing. Let's go back. Come on. Like I was trying to get back into that was 2 years ago when we first met. And I remember you had like a sense of like you had a presence, bro. Like you were like super like present, and like I was going all crazy as far as like my heart beating, and then like being around you, I was like, all right, like this is a dude, like Kai Murphy, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think trying to bring calm and presence to every situation is important. You know, just being where your feet are every day, and enjoying the people that are around you. I mean, your energy is great. I think it's cool to have energy like yours. I wish I had energy like that all the time. I don't know how you do it, but I kind of operate at a slower pace, and that's kind of just how I roll.
I mean, for me, I'm a reflection of I'm a product of my environment, right? And like being your clubby or being a clubby in baseball or any sports, that's what I feel like my true privilege is to be a part of your guys' journey, to complement your your feelings, and as far as like how I can contribute to make your life easier off the field. And I can't tell you guys like over the years like how much you guys have helped me in my life overcome my adversities, and trying to learn how you guys approach the game and then taking that to approach my own life. Like, thank you guys.
Dude, I mean, I appreciate that, but it goes both ways because it's like, our life, both of our lives are very different than the normal life. You know what I mean? And we're quick to get caught up in, like, at least for me, like you're quick to get caught up in like if you went 0 for 4, if you're struggling or something's going wrong. But when you kind of take perspective, like I remember a lot of times this year taking perspective of like leaving the clubhouse after a 0 for 4 game and being pissed or something. But then I kind of look over and I'm looking at you and I'm like, this guy's going to be here for the next, 4 or 5 hours tonight till 2 or 3 in the morning, helping me, serving me, and working way harder than I've worked today. So it kind of puts things in perspective, and when you think you're in a certain place and you look over and the guy next to you is working even harder and doing things for you, it gives you perspective in your life, and it kind of makes that 0 for 4, that slump, kind of a little less important, or a little just puts perspective to it.
Yeah, I hear you. One thing,
You're
I'm always
you're there all night. I remember that. I know you're there till 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and I'm already sleeping by then. But you're grinding, and myself, I'm usually the first guy at the field every day, and you've already been there for 3 hours. You're sweating. You're 3 coffees deep or whatever. You're on go all the time, and I appreciate that.
well, like, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. What fires me up, like going to work, like for me, is like a distraction. You can call it distraction. Like no job defines who you are. Like I get to go to a place where I'm around positivity and just like the ultimate like goal, to be better every day and to do something for one another. And it's addicting, to know that you can be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. And I don't know, bro. Like I'm telling you, like it doesn't even matter what level it is at, because again, like I have seen the major league level, like them compete, and at the lower levels where you guys compete, and it all kind of quantifies as far as like being present. When we won the Cal League last year, dude, like it was a World Series.
I mean, that's just like you said earlier, just being where your feet are. Like just because it was a championship in our first year in low A doesn't make it any less important than winning a big league World Series. Obviously, that's the end goal, and that's what we're all striving for. But I think you have to be appreciative of kind of the steps that you take. And like for me, coming into pro ball, signing in the summer, coming straight to Lake Elsinore, and kind of like, I knew what to expect in some areas, but pro ball is a completely different beast. And one, for those guys and for you taking us in and showing us the ropes was really cool. And then to go on and be on a team that really cares about winning, in an organization that cares about winning and winning the league, that kind of opened your eyes to what's possible and how special this thing really is and how close you get with your teammates. And I got to say, there's nothing in the world quite like celebrating a championship or a playoff berth. Like that's it's more than just popping a bottle of champagne. It's like it feels like 6 months, 8 months, 12 months of the hard work and the sweat and the tears and the blood. and the ups and the downs with your boys, and it all kind of comes together in that one moment. And it's pretty special. It's hard to put into words, really.
And I mean, I want to compliment that because, you know, as a fan and a guy who kind of sees it from a different perspective with the, you know, with the community involved and their participation, whether it be working at the stadium or being a vendor, you know, another baseball game is another opportunity for a family to have an experience. And, you know, I talked about this earlier today in a meeting with a company that was trying to better understand what Serve First is. And I told a story regarding almost actually every player that I've ever come across of the moment when they've met their first professional athlete themselves and how memorable that is. And how that right there alone is like one of our mantras that we all kind of believe in as far as using our platform to be a part of someone else's memory. That can you talk more about that as far as what that means for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, like you said, we all remember meeting whether it's our first or our favorite professional athlete. You know, that's a moment you never forget. And I can think about my first time. I remember I loved Ichiro Suzuki. I remember he was my favorite player growing up, and kind of what that meant to be able to meet him when he was playing in Seattle. And you know, I think of it now, like you said, it's crazy how, you know, from the player's perspective, you don't think about, you know, how the fans come to a game to an experience something as a family. You know what I mean? It's kind of, we get really wrapped up in how you're doing and baseball stuff, as we should, because it's important. But sometimes you lose focus or lose sight of, you know, the fact that it's entertainment, and it's there's families that come and pay to see us perform, and you know those families are going to remember that night for a long time, hopefully in a good memory. So I think for me it kind of just goes towards on the playing side, like makes you want to prepare even better, makes you want to, you know, be on top of your game, not just for yourself and for your teammates, but also for everyone there that's kind of made it happen. You know, the clubhouse staff, the front office, and most importantly, the fans. Like you want to show up every night and put your best foot forward, because you know I remember going to games as a kid, and you know it's a big memory. You remember everything. We were talking today. I was talking to my dad about the 2005 World Series, and I was like 4 years old. I really don't remember anything about when I was four, except for the fact that we were in Chicago and I watched Scott Podsednik hit a walk-off homer in the World Series, and that's a super crazy thought, super random, but you know I remember nothing else from that trip, but I remember that moment being in the ballpark. I remember that name for the rest of my life. So I kind of carry that with me along my journey of just trying to put my best foot forward and hopefully give a good memory and experience to others.
I appreciate it. That's awesome and beautifully said. And I want to go into our relatability aspect. You know, Kai, you and I were different, but yet we still have this like this feeling that we're like one another's best friends. And I know there's a lot of things about you that I don't know, and vice versa. But one thing I want to ask you is, you know, what does it mean to play for your name? You know, you mentioned your dad. What does your last name mean to you?
Yeah, I mean it's special in the fact of, you know, not for the fact of what he's done in his career and trying to live up to that, but more in the fact of that's you know my best friend. He's my rock. He's been there since, you know, day one. When it was really tough for him, when it was really tough for me, all, you know, ups and downs, and no matter what, I can look over and he's always by my side and waiting for me to call after a game, whether it's good or bad. And you know, it means a lot because this journey and you know, all the way starting in high school, college, minor league ball, like this journey is really difficult. And to have somebody by your side like that every step of the way and always, you know, supporting me, pushing me, all that stuff, it you know, it really means a lot. So it definitely, you know, it's awesome, you know, having a dad that's in the game, and he's taught me a lot about the game and even more about life. So, you know, I know I've tried to make him proud, and I continue to try to make him proud, but you know, I know he's proud of me, and now it's, you know, keep working. It's kind of take from here, because I know I've done my job on that front. So now he's really just supporting me in my dreams, and that's a good feeling.
Cool. Talks. I want to know more. I know a little bit with your journey as far as how you got to where you're at today. We talked before about before you went to Arizona State. You were at Oregon State for a little bit, and can you take us through that story? Because I know that's kind of fun to share regarding like how things may not end up being the way you think.
Yeah, man. I think it's cool, because I know we're gonna tap into a little bit of a mental health bag here in a minute, and I think this is a great way to get into it. But yeah, I mean, my journey really is, you know, growing up. Obviously, my father was coaching at Arizona State at the time, so this is 2000 when I was born. You know, grew up in Tempe, grew up in the locker room, just like you know, like coffee kind of, and different people around the game. Like, just grew up in the locker room, going to practice, you know, straight from school to ASU practice to my own practice, hanging with the guys, you know, Dustin Pedroia's, Brett Wallace, guys like that, you know, really took care of me, honestly, and showed me what it's like to come do your job every day at the college level, and work hard, and kind of showed me what being a pro was at a young age. So, you know, I was really lucky growing up there. My dad sacrificed everything for me. Really, he's a single parent running a one of the best baseball programs in the country in the 2000s, probably the best. So, you know, I say that proudly just because of I know the sacrifices that he made, and um, you know, I don't even know the half of them, honestly, but the ones that I do know, I know are pretty special. So, you know, growing up in that, always knowing he had my back, um, you know, did that. And then he, you know, started in pro ball in like 2010, maybe 2011. So from the time I was like 10 to 15, I was living on the road, different states, Oregon, Texas, other parts of Arizona, California, San Diego, really everywhere you can think of, living a minor league lifestyle at 10, 11, 12 years old, in the locker room every day, homeschooling. My grades probably reflect that a little bit. Wasn't the best student, but you know, I was kind of, the baseball field was my classroom for a long time. So really grateful for that. Met great guys at that time, like Jace Peterson, who's playing in the World Series right now.
Shout out Jace Peterson.
Yeah, I met him in I think like 2012 maybe, in Eugene, Oregon, when he had just signed, and he was just kind of obviously a big prospect, but you know, nobody at the time, and just kind of the humblest, most hardworking dude ever, working his way up. And to see him have an incredible big league career and playing a World Series tonight is, you know, it's emotional a little bit. Really happy for him. So, but yeah, man, just back to that. I went to high school in Arizona, and kind of getting into what we wanted to get into. I committed to Oregon State as a 15 or 16-year-old. You know, they were one of the best programs in the nation at the time, and really excited to go there. It was kind of like a dream come true, and everything was falling into place for me. And so I finished out high school and did well. And like the day after my high school graduation, flew out to Clubhouse, Oregon, and started my time at Oregon State. You know, it's kind of something that, you know, we touched on earlier about kind of just hardships or adversity. Just, you know, that was my dream school for a long time, and I went there, and for a lot of it being my fault, but other things being out of my control, it really didn't pan out to be what I thought it was going to be. So that was a kind of a reality check into real life of like, hey, I know you thought your life was going to be kind of easy and planned out and blueprinted for you. But it was just a reality check of, this is the real world. Sometimes the way you think things are going to go, they're not going to go. And a lot of it was on me. I didn't really know how to work hard yet. I didn't know really what discipline was yet. I didn't know a lot of things. You don't know what you don't know. So, I went there and played. I pitched for them actually. So I was a pitcher. They had kind of told me at the break that I wasn't going to hit for the team. My freshman year, I was going to be a pitcher and I was going to help them. And I said yes, sir. I want to play. So the season starts. I make some appearances. I pitched at Mississippi State in front of 15,000 as a 19-year-old freshman, which was pretty cool.
Who's that? Is that you?
Yeah, that's me pitching at ASU.
Dang.
So, yeah, man, it was a long journey, but kind of to wrap it up, I ended up, that was COVID year, so the season ended pretty early. We got about 15 games in. I went home and I entered the transfer portal. I just kind of bet on myself and said, I think I'm a really good hitter, or I'm going to become a really good hitter and a position player because I want to do this at the pro level. And pitching wasn't something I saw myself taking for a long time. So, long story short, I entered the portal, went home for COVID quarantine, and kind of just really, really taught myself what discipline was and what hard work was. And, my dad was there every step of the way supporting me, but he kind of saw me change my life in a couple months span of just really getting after it. And I had a goal in mind was to play outfield for a collegiate team next year. I really wanted to go to Arizona State, so I called up the coach at Arizona State, and they had said, we got about 8 outfielders returning, so I don't know if we're gonna have a spot for you. And I said, Coach, just let me try out, let me walk on the team, and I promise, whatever happens, happens. But I'm gonna make something happen. So long story short, I walk on in the fall at Arizona State, and I won the starting job that year. And kind of the rest is history. Played the next year at ASU and did well enough to get picked up that summer. And now I'm a Padre, and I love it. I love it.
We're gonna keep up on that topic here later with our special guest Marcel. But before we get into that, I know there's a quick thing I want to know about your experiences playing the last 2023 season. Take me through like your off days, like some restaurants or favorite places to go on an off day, to kind of balance out that whole work-life balance mentality.
Yeah, from this past year in Lake East.
Yeah. Like, what'd you do?
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It really depends, because sometimes we're traveling home Sunday night from like San Jose, so you don't get home until 5 a.m. So on those days, I'm sleeping most of the day. But for the most part, the Cal League has a good travel schedule. So if we finish a Sunday game and hopefully either we're at home or we get home Sunday night, Monday is kind of a chill day. Sunday night we might play some poker with the boys and grill some steaks. And then Monday we wake up and I had a pretty good coffee spot, Better Buzz.
Oh,
Right.
yes. Shout out Better Buzz.
What was the city we were living in? Menifee.
Menifee. Yeah, you guys are staying at were you guys staying at the Artisan?
I think so, yeah. We were in Menifee right next to, there's a bunch of spots. Went to Better Buzz. That was coffee for me every single morning. That's kind of how I roll. So every single morning of the year I was at Better Buzz, getting a coffee. And then some days me and Doris were getting tattoos. Tattoo. I got a palm tree
Sick.
arm just because we were in Cali and it was fitting, and I hit a homer like the next day, so you know it all worked out. But yeah, man, the vibe in Lakey was incredible. I told you earlier, man, like this was the most fun I've ever had playing baseball in my life. From not only from the results that we had, not only from you know the teammates that I had, the times that we shared, dancing in the locker room, messing with you, messing with Mark, you know, up and down the list, but just being at the yard every day, seeing the fans show up and kids coming out, young kids that I know, you know, baseball is a big thing in the Lakey area, Marietta, Temecula. You know, personally, I grew up obviously in Arizona, but when I started playing travel ball, one of the places we played a lot was Temecula, and we'd play in tournaments out in Temecula. And you know, as a kid, I thought nothing of it. You know, it was cool going to California to play, and it was awesome. But for it to kind of come full circle, and for me to be, you know, on deck in Lakey, and kids from Temecula are kind of right behind the screen yelling at me or whatever, and just kind of makes you smile a little bit because it puts some perspective in where you're at, where you've come from, and the fact that you know there's kids 5 feet away that are maybe on that same path, and they're kind of looking to me for you know whatever it is, inspiration, motivation, or just a role model. So it's pretty cool kind of having that full circle moment and knowing that you know Lakey, Temecula area is kind of a home for me for a long time. So I think I put some good roots down there, and I love the area. So yeah, it's cool.
What's his better buzz? What's your better buzz order, real quick? Because we got the segue.
Better buzz order. I'm really simple. Black cold brew coffee or black Americano. I like black coffee. So probably get a little sandwich in there too, but black coffee every day.
Kai, all right, we're gonna go ahead and segue. Before we segue, we're gonna give some love to you know, I'm proud of this. One of our first sponsors of the podcast. My friend and I just reconnected in the community. Fabian over at Bright Bail Bonds. These guys I've known in the community for a couple of years. They do their part using their platform, and they believe in using sports to bring people together. They're going to sponsor our upcoming pickleball charity events on Veterans Day, November 11th. So mad respect to Bright Bail Bonds. If you need some friendly professional service, call 888-669-0295. Give them a shout. Thanks, Fabian, for the support. And let's go ahead and bring on our next guest. We got Marcel. Hey, we got Marcel. We got mental health specialist, and he's gonna just bro down with us, and we're gonna have a nice conversation about the importance of mental health. Marcel, please join us, and let's have some fun, and let's make the best of our time. We have about 10 minutes, and welcome to the show.
What up, everybody?
There he is.
Yeah, here I am. Listen, dude, your story is inspiring. Your story is amazing. I want to give you mad props and give you all the respect that you're due, sir, because you're driving, buddy. You're driving, and continue that drive, because just like you said before, the shout out to the Bill Bondsman Brightside. Before that, I was that kid that was 5 feet behind home plate. I was that kid that couldn't play baseball because I couldn't hit, but I could throw you out from anywhere in the field. I just couldn't hit. And subsequently, my son doesn't play baseball, but those are some of my fondest memories, as on the ball field with my son and being able to explain to him who these kids are, because they're some of them, you guys are kids, man. You're like 25, 26 years old out there just slinging it. And you guys are idols to guys like me for exactly what you explained. Your on the field candor and presence is equally, if not more important, to your off field presence. And that's a huge battle for for some sports stars, you know, is to separate home from work and the field from play, you know. So I want to give you again some kudos for that, man, because you're driving, man. And Big T over here, this kid doesn't quit. He does not stop. I wonder what his light bill is, because he must not ever sleep. He just runs all the time. So it's a beautifully unique story how he and I met. We met through his dad, actually. I was getting my truck serviced at a San Diego Dodge dealership, and T's dad noticed I have signatures all over my truck, right? And so it's like, what are those signatures, man? Is it like a yearbook or something? Is it like some weird, silly arts and crafts thing, you know? And I told him, no, actually, it's the world's largest moving mental health and suicide prevention billboard. And the reason that is my daughter's name is on that truck. My daughter committed suicide at 17 years old, man. And so when you talk about being focused and being driven and being a dad and committed to being trying to make them as safe as possible, and something like that happens, there's a big opportunity to like slip, you know. So I had to regroup and I had to gear up, because she has a twin sister and a little brother, bro. So I wanted to talk about dedication and being dedicated to taking the time. That's what I've learned, the biggest thing for mental health, and I think it crosses over into sports, is time. If you take time to practice your craft, then you become great. If you take time in mental health to explain your feelings without fear, then you can truly get to the issue that's holding you back. You know what I mean? And so what I did was I formed a nonprofit named or Tomorrow Needs You. And those are the three words that I think are very prevalent across every platform, you know, because there's young guys and gals that are in double AAA or just underneath the bigs, or hell, even in the bigs, you know, and they have those days that are slumpy, and sometimes that slope can get kind of slippery, you know. So from a fan standpoint, dude, I want to tell you that you are awesome, because I get a chance to get like behind the scenes and not in the uniform. So when I see you at Petco, I can be like, "What up, dude?" And you'd be like, "Oh shit." I'll be like, "Hey, I know that guy." They'll be like, "Oh, yeah." No, because it's transcendent, man. And like you communicate with T, it's more than work. It's a brotherhood. It's a community of people. And that's really what my mental health practice is really based upon, is community inclusion, enrichment, and interaction. So everybody has a place in this world, and no one has to compete for their own place. Everyone should feel comfortable bringing something to the table, because something can feed someone else, you know? So I appreciate, man, being able to share this beautiful stage with, you know, two illustrious of my idols here. I kind of fangirl because I'm a baseball dude. Like, I have a whole bunch of like old baseballs that have had autographs,
Marcel,
and
we're gonna have you on the show regularly, so you gotta, you know, don't fangirl yet, because there's so
I'm
many
not
more
toning
people.
nothing down, man. This is my screen, and I can do what I want. I'm
Kai,
fangirling. Like, I'm an autograph junkie.
Kai,
So.
you want to add to this mental health topics for everybody? I know you have your own sense of what you do to practice and, you know, improve your mental health. You want to share with Marcel some of those practices so we can, you know, pick from you as well?
Yeah, man. I mean, first, Marcel, that was a great message. I mean, I'm getting chills over here just listening to your message, and I know, because it's genuine and it's authentic, and I think that's why we connect, why I connect with TT, and why I think we've connected here is you know, it's not, you know, for example, Surf First is not for making money, or this podcast not for, you know, look at
Yeah.
us. It's genuine and it's authentic, and that's why, you know, I've told TT this thing's gonna work, because, you know, when you're when your true values are aligned with the universe, like it's gonna work. It's not gonna fail. So I applaud your message. It was really cool. And for my own life, like you said, there's a balance, work and home, and that's not just in baseball. That's in every single aspect of careers in life. It's work and home balance, and that's a struggle for a lot of guys. And I know a lot of guys that struggle with it. I struggle with it sometimes, and I think, like you said, is making the time, whether it's making the time for yourself to say, okay, slow down before I go into this, because if I come into it hot, I might mess something up, So take a step back, breathe a little bit, whether that's an in-game situation or that's a at-home situation. I think about making the time for others, making the time for your relationship, for your family. Especially life on the road. I'm on the road 7 months out of the year. You got to make time for the phone calls, for maybe the off day, going and hanging out with someone who you want to give your time to, or when you're in the off season, really giving them your time, because at the end of the day, it's all going to come full circle. When you have the support from maybe your significant other, or you have the support from your parents or your friends, that's going to take you further than anything else on the field, because that gives you freedom, and it gives you clarity, and it gives you purpose. And I think there's no substitute for that. I think when you have that mental clarity and that mental freedom, anything's possible. So that's kind of how I approach it, and I hope maybe someone can take something for that. But
Marcel, before I send this off, anything you want to add, Marcel? Because this has been a great show thus far, and I want to hear some more if you would like.
Oh man, anything else? Let me see here. Yeah, that was kind of cheesy, but one of the things that I do every day that's pretty simple for me is I say thank you. When I wake up, and I don't do it to a specific thing or person. I just say thank you, right? So with the challenges that I face in my day, right? Those are moments for me to really just think about the end, the end game, what happens after this, and are they things that are happening to me, or are they happening because of me? And if they're happening to me, then that means I change me. But I'm sorry, if they're happening to me, I change my location and I change my circle, because those things don't make me feel comfortable or excel at my optimum performance level. If they're happening because of me, then I take a look at myself honestly, and I make those assessments and those corrections, right? Because every day we get a chance to learn. We get a chance to learn if we choose to. And so sometimes I like to sit in that humility of remaining teachable, no matter what it is, even if it's from my kids who are recently out of high school. And I had to figure out how weird high school was from them, and try not to equate it to when I went to high school, because it's different. It's totally different. It's the same setting, but there are different players and different tools that cause different outcomes, right?
I mean, I wish I was in high school or college about 20 years ago, because it definitely be way different without having to worry about social media and news.
Yeah. And that's a big thing, man, is a lot of people we spend a lot of time alone, and our best friends are our social media, but they're also our worst enemies sometimes,
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're alone, you get 37 comments that say you suck, you start to think about it. So I like to surround myself with a community of people that are aware of not only themselves, but the impact that other people have on their lives. You know what I mean? and kind of try and stay in contact with them and keep those lines of communication flowing.
Yeah, man, I think, you nailed that. And I think another thing to add is like, getting 37 comments about how bad you are. That definitely stings. But also, if you weigh your confidence or your self-esteem in the 30 comments saying how great you are, that's not doing you good any good either. It's
Yeah.
I think that confidence, that self-esteem has to come from within. That's where social media is not going anywhere, and
Yeah.
that's the truth of it. But to be able to monitor it and balance it and not let it run your life, I think that's something that at least people in my generation can get some help on, and I think we need to look at that a little better because it controls some people, and it's sad. But
I think my generation could use some help and tips in it too, man. We're not exempt, because I know some old guys like me and some older women like me, and they live on social media, and it's a weird thing,
yeah, no doubt.
Well, okay, hey you guys, I'm gonna jump in here because you know what? We're gonna continue this conversation. These are episodes and these are things that we're gonna continue to talk about on TT's Clubhouse.
Awesome.
And these are the types of scenarios and conversations we want to have. So with that being said, I know that a lot of has been discovered about using sports to bring people together, making entertainment essential to education. We're attaching mental health as a component here to provide resources or just things that we do in our life using our platform. So thank you guys, Marcel, Kai. You guys are doing your thing.
Yeah,
I don't want to get
man.
off,
You
but
know what it is.
And what we're gonna do this again next Monday. We have a special guest, Kai. You might know him, Marcel. You do some research on him. His name is Brandon Carpathios. He is one of my I call him Agent Zero at times because he's number 0, and he's fun to watch. And I hope I get him back next year in Lake Elsinore or cross paths again with him again.
I'm down. When do we get the snacks though? You said that there would be snacks here.
The show is over, baby. Guess what? Clubhouse dues, no mas. There's no more Clubhouse dues, guys. Kai, thank you so much, Kai. Marcel, thank you.
Opportunity.
Yep. Listen, man, I'll see you in Petco this season, bro. I look forward to it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the time, man. That was great.
Always, man. And anytime you reach out to me, T's got my info. Anytime, anything I can help with, even if it's something, you need somebody to yell at, let me know.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, have a good night.
Later, guys.
See you. Thanks, TT.
Thank you, guys. Later. Good night, everybody.